said, I also will tell you that there is like a free Wi-Fi, which is the civil protection Wi-Fi that you can access if you're here with us. And well, I mean, I will just start and proceed with the official kickoff of the meeting today. So first of all, I want to thank the Ministry for Climate Crisis and Civil Protection for being like the host of this event, as well as the Ministry for Digital Governance, who also supported the organization of this event. And I would like to thank also the European Union Agency for the Space Program for co-hosting together with us this event today. So thank you very much. And of course, I wanted to thank my team, the Eurisy team, that is here with us today and also that worked very much to make this possible. So I think I will just briefly introduce myself because I will, together with my colleague Marie Menard from the EUSPA, we will accompany you today in this workshop. So my name is Annalisa Donati, and I am currently the Secretary General of Eurisy. Couple of words on Eurisy. We are an association of space agencies. We gather at the moment 20 space agencies across Europe and beyond. And what we do is really like to try to bridge the gap between space and society. So we do that by championing the user's needs. So for us, it's very important to understand what you need on the field. So how we can support you in smoothing the path to the integration of satellite-based integration for your daily workflow. And we bring back your feedback to different institutions in order to make sure that this is well uptaken. So today, we are here to discuss satellite services for disaster risk management, and we could not be in a more appropriate place because nowadays, due to climate change, natural disasters and extreme weather events are becoming more frequent and more ferocious. So the use of satellite-based application has the potential to monitor the impact of climate change and the related hazards, and to support the decision makers in the development of adaptation and mitigation strategies with the ultimate goal to protect people and to build resilient societies. So while more and more national disaster management authorities are aware of the potential of satellite-based solutions, there is still a quite jeopardized use. Lack of awareness, misinformation, limited access to the data, and fragmentation of the services are some of the difficulties in turning data into actionable information. And to overcome the current barriers and to scale up basically the use of satellite-borne applications, it is key to create a common understanding among all the European stakeholders. And this is what we're trying to do today. So with no further delays, I will give the floor to to the Minister of Climate Crisis, Christos Stylianides. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. I'm sorry if not. That couldn't be here with us today, but he wanted very much to send an address to the people here and remotely. So please, we can show the video.
Great pleasure to welcome you to Athens at the premises of our ministry, the newly established Hellenic Ministry for Climate Crisis and Civil Protection. For this important event, the satellite-based services for disaster management workshop. First of all, allow me to thank our partners, the Ministry of Digital Governance, the European Union Agency for the Space Program, and the Eurisy for co-organizing this really very interesting and important event. Dear friends, satellite technologies became known to emergency management when GPS receivers and satellite telephones became commercially available. Since then, satellite technologies used for emergency management have come a long way and are continuing to advance. Established commercial space sectors are growing in capacity and capability, and new entrants are growing the industry, both in size and in scope, of course. Satellite-based applications are increasingly becoming part of all phases of modern disaster management. It is certainly an emerging, innovative field with a lot of potential. Dear colleagues, New technologies, especially digital and satellite technologies, are key instruments in our hands. Our experiences is the evidence for this. In our fight to tackle the effects of climate change is something very unique. And of course, as we say in our ministry, climate change is the same as climate crisis, because unfortunately already enter in the new phase of the climate change. We are living in a climate crisis. There is no doubt climate change is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, challenge of our time. It's not fake news. Unfortunately, it is a hard reality that concerns us all, a reality that impacts every aspect of our lives, the environment and biodiversity, of course, the economy, our societies, our health, well-being. Greece, our country, which is really very prone in all types of natural disasters, has experienced the consequences of climate crisis the hard way. We are a country located at the hot spot of climate crisis, the Eastern Mediterranean. The consequences of climate change are horizontal. They are felt throughout the planet, with extreme weather phenomena becoming more frequent and severe all over the globe. And no country can escape climate crisis, even the most powerful ones. Recently, just last week, California, the richest state in USA, was experiencing unprecedented climate-driven mega fires. And this is why now they are talking about a fire year, not of a fire season, as they characterized this phenomena till now. So this speaks for itself. Dear friends, our ministry aims at enhancing our country's resilience and adaptability to the climate crisis. And we will do so through a holistic approach by bringing the effects of climate change with civil protection. This is a new approach, a new dogma, if you will, that is based on robust scientific analysis and expertise. An approach that incorporates technology and innovation, especially the new technologies and satellite mapping. It is an approach which is based on three key pillars, the very well-known triangle: prevention, preparedness, and resilience. These are the guiding pillars of our policies and actions globally. In disaster prevention, satellite images is a powerful tool for hazard mapping and, of course, for making systematic observations that support hazard modeling and long-term climate monitoring. In preparedness, also, Earth observation has revolutionized early warning. It has given meteorologists and emergency managers the possibility to monitor extreme weather events and to make more accurate prediction, the basis of their jobs. Furthermore, satellite-based applications have changed how we respond to and recover from disasters and emergencies. Greece, our country, has requested often the activation of the Copernicus Emergency Management Services. In the aftermath of emergencies like floods and wildfires, and when disasters knock out telecommunications, we turn to satellite telecommunications as a trustworthy alternative. So in Greece, we use a lot technology and we enjoy the new technological products, but we need to do more. And we have to utilize the full potential of satellite technology. To that end, we need to bridge the technology gap which exists currently between the traditional emergency management approaches and what new technologies have to offer, particularly with regards to prevention and preparedness. Standardize satellite technologies, use them in line with scientific evidence and analysis. So develop a more tech-savvy culture in disaster management. This is the most important. Dear friends, to address the consequences of climate change and to respond effectively to the increase of magnitude and frequency of natural disasters, we need knowledge and robust scientific data and analysis. Satellite technologies are no doubt the future of the disaster management. And we need to invest now towards. The Greek government is committed to this direction, to this dimension, and today's workshop is a concrete proof of our commitment. So, thank you so much for your attention. I'm wishing you a productive exchange of views, and I'm looking forward to the very interesting results of this workshop in order to utilize these really excellent views with my team in order to improve ourselves in our efforts to be more effective.
The National Workshop on Satellite-Based Services for Disaster and Risk Management. The workshop, organized by the European Union Space Programme Agency, EUSPA, and Eurisy, in cooperation with the Ministry of Digital Governance and the Ministry for Climate Crisis and Civil Protection, is at the heart of our nation's interests and needs. Greece is one of the top countries in Europe suffering from natural disaster, and space can be an enabler to support national actors throughout the complete cycle of disaster risk management. Let me highlight the engagement of Greece in the space sector. Greece is often considered to be a newcomer in the space sector. However, this is not the case. Greece is a founding member of the United Nations International Telecommunications Union since 1865 and has its own orbital positions and rights in space, which are managed under the Greek national law by ELASAT, our national operator. The launch of ELASAT-2 back in 2003 placed Greece to the so-called spacefaring nations. With the launch of ELASAT-3 and 4, we have seen new opportunities arising. These new satellites provided the country since 2019 an operational governmental satellite communication system, GovSatcom, called GRICOM, which connects ministries, parliament, embassies, and civil protection authorities. Greece, through its GovSatcom, is one of only 6 countries in Europe having their own system. In times of disaster, the terrestrial telecommunication networks are strained and often unavailable, while satellite-based connectivity remains intact and available. Examples in recent times were the flooding in Germany and now the conflict in Ukraine. Our ministry is working closely with the Ministry of Climate Change and Civil Protection for the provision of satellite space-based connectivity. In addition, the Ministry of Digital Governance, as announced by Mr. Pierrakakis, is leading the development of a new national microsatellite system for space-based secure connectivity and Earth observation to complement our ELASAT assets in response to our national needs for natural disasters, among other areas of applications. I would like to remind all of you that since 2017, Greece has a dedicated space law, which the licensing of space activities is regulated and the National Register of Space Objects is established. In 2020, under a new digital law, the national policy objectives of Greece in space domain have been laid down and include the following. Number one, the strengthening of national security and defense, especially through the exploitation and development of space infrastructure. Second, the development of national space industry. Third, the exploitation of space data and the development of related applications. And finally, the support of research and innovation in the space field. Furthermore, the recent strategy on digital transformation 2020 to 2025 describes specific activities that the government would undertake in the next years in the space domain. Let me mention a couple of specific actions we are currently working on. In the field of GovSatcom, I would like to inform you that as part of the materialization of our planning, the Minister of Digital Governance, Kyriakos Pierrakakis, and the Minister of National Defense, Nikolos Panagiotopoulos, during the visit of Commissioner Thierry Breton in Greece, offered to host in our country the European GovSatcom Hub, which will be based on pooling and sharing of national capabilities of the currently operational system. The European system, and thus the Greek contribution, will also be for disaster risk management as one of its applications. In the field of next generation of optical satellite communications in 2020, the European Space Agency chose Helmos Observatory, the largest telescope in Central Eastern Europe, as the first optical ground station of ESA Skylight program. Helmos will also be utilized under the European Union Quantum Communication Infrastructure, the well-known EuroQCI. In 2021, two more additional optical ground stations, Skinekas in Crete and Holomondas Thessaloniki, are also under preparation to be part of the EuroQCI initiative. Last summer, I had the opportunity to witness for myself, with my colleagues from the General Secretariat of Telecoms and Posts, for the first time, the connection of Helmos Observatory with the optical terminal of the geostationary satellite AlphaSat. Since 2014, Greece is hosting one of the Copernicus Collaborate ground segments at National Observatory of Athens. The center allows the access, utilizations of management of specialized information provided by the EU Copernicus program. This center, as indicated in the digital transformation strategy, will be further upgraded to be the forefront of the big data era, and you will hear a number of presentations later this day. Greece today has a comprehensive legal, policy, and strategy framework that supports and governs space activities in Greece, coupled with specific programmatic activities. We are looking for complementarity and synergies between national, EU, and ESA programs to maximize benefits for our country. With our motto, Space as an Enabler for Digital Transformation, in a step-by-step approach, Greece is enhancing capabilities and is utilizing and expanding its infrastructures, promotes a more efficient and public sector, and provides benefits of its citizens and businesses in the digital era. Disaster risk management is one of the sectoral areas of this digital transformation. We build on the assets of the country, the hard work and excellence of our industry, research institutes, and academia. Together, we will bring Greece to the new space era. I wish you a successful meeting, and I'm really looking forward for the presentation that we're going to follow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I think that I can give directly the podium to Mr. George Karagiannis, please.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it's my pleasure to welcome you today to the Ministry for Climate Crisis and Civil Protection for what I hope will be an event out of this world. Space technologies, applications, and services have become an intricate part of our daily lives. The Union Space Program represents Europe's aspiration to maintain its role as a global space power. It is an ambitious undertaking, funded by the largest space budget for the European Union to date. Its purpose to provide reliable, safe, and secure space-related services, maximizing their socioeconomic benefits for European society and business. Hence the critical role of the European Union Space Agency for the Space Program in linking space applications and technologies to their potential users in Europe. Satellite communications, navigation, and Earth observation are rapidly changing how we mitigate, prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters around the world. Today, we use satellites to assess wildfire fuel loads, map landslides, build flood and tsunami inundation models, and even track volcanic eruptions. Meteorological satellites are playing an increasing role in the provision of early warning for weather-related disasters, which is arguably about to become more important as governments seek to address climate change. We use satellites to warn people of impending hazards and threats. Together with the Ministry for Digital Governance, we developed Greece's integrated public alert and warning system, which provides emergency and life-saving information to the public through multiple communications pathways. European future plans include the development of a Galileo-based early warning service capable of reaching cell phones to deliver warning messages in case of impending hazards. Satellite communications and emergency management are shaped by increased commercial capacity and increased market demand. They surely go beyond commercial satellite-based mobile telephony and even broadband connectivity. As disaster management becomes an all-hazards policy, secure communications will undoubtedly become a crucial part of crisis management. Nevertheless, satellite communications affect the average citizen on a daily basis. Back in the old days, people taking first aid classes around the world were and are taught to report the location of the accident first when they dial 112, in case of an accident. GNSS is making this guidance nearly obsolete with technologies such as advanced mobile location and eCall. In addition, resource management is a notorious challenge in incident planning and management. Modern computer-aided dispatch and incident management systems now combine resource management capabilities, which are largely based on satellite-based positioning. Disaster response and recovery are also improved by Earth observation applications. I'm obviously alluding to the Copernicus Emergency Management Service managed by the European Commission Joint Research Center. Despite the vast range of capabilities provided by satellite-based technologies, the uptake by emergency management agencies requires data standardization and on-demand availability. In addition, the application of space-based disaster risk assessment techniques will undoubtedly require investment in information systems and skills if the data are to be used at the local level where they matter most. Last, data alone cannot meet the needs of the emergency management community. Data must be integrated into tools specifically adapted to user needs. Dear colleagues, I'm anxious to hear the experts in the field, so I would just like to leave you with two thoughts. First, disasters don't read the books. They're notorious for transcending boundaries, jurisdictional boundaries, both functional and geographical. In disaster management, the whole community approach reflects the notion that resilience is a shared responsibility. It calls for the involvement of everyone, not just the government, in resilience efforts. At the government level, this means that no one government organization can handle disasters alone. We need to work closely together. This workshop, co-organized by the Ministry for Digital Governance and the Minister for Climate Crisis and Civil Protection, is just one example how we do that. For lack of a better expression, Greek style. This is obviously just one of the things we have accomplished together, and I would like to thank Dr. Staveris and our partners at the Minister for Digital Governance for supporting our ongoing mission of keeping the country safe. But this also shows how scientists, engineers, and emergency managers should work together to keep European people safe. Second, by the time you get home after this workshop, it's likely that a new breakthrough in space-based technologies will have occurred somewhere in the world. This is just how fast technology is making progress. Disaster management is one area where satellite-based applications can literally make the difference between life and death. But they can only accomplish what they're built for if they're integrated in day-to-day emergency management functions, what we call in our jargon program functions. I understand this workshop is among the first of its kind, and we're glad to be part of this European-wide effort to bring satellite-based technologies closer to their intended users in the emergency management community. Thank you for your attention, and have a great day here in Athens.
Thank you very much. And again, I will give the floor for our last introductory address to Mr. Rodrigo da Costa. So the podium is yours.
Thank you so much, and good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you today to talk about applying space data, applying space services to one of the most critical, most important areas where actually this can be used, which is disaster management. When going through my talk, let me try here, the clicker. Let me just tell you, I will structure my talk in basically two main areas. I will first tell you a little bit of who we are at the European Union Agency for the Space Program and what we do. And then I will focus a little bit on what EU Space is already doing, but in particular what it can do for disaster management at large, but in particular, of course, for everything that is related to Greece. Starting from the beginning, we are a European Union agency, which means in our constituency we have all the European Union member states. As EUSPA, it may be a little bit of a new name, and it is indeed, because our agency with this name exists for a little bit more than 1 year. But as an agency, we are there already since a long time, because before being EUSPA, we were the European GNSS agency dedicated to navigation. Now, this changed 1 year ago, and it changed also with the creation of the EU Space Program, which brought together a number of already existing activities of the European Union in space, but also with new ambitions of the Union in this very important area. The European Union Space Program is composed, is built out of several components. Some of them are well known for you. They have been there since a long time. I think the engagement of the Union in navigation is widely known, with first starting more than 10 years ago with EGNOS, the EGNOS service provision, dedicated initially to aviation, but very quickly also adopted in other areas. Then Galileo being the global satellite navigation system of the Union, performing very well, in particular vis-à-vis its direct competitors, if I may say this way, such as GPS, GLONASS, or Beidou, with a top-level accuracy that is delivered every day. Also, a very important activity, and in particular for this community in disaster management, is Copernicus. Copernicus is the Earth observation program of the Union. Probably the best well-known feature of Copernicus are the satellites, but Copernicus is more than satellites because it includes not only data generated by those satellites in space, but also in situ measurements and a lot of processing that is then made available to users. And the new initiatives or the new ambitions of the Union, in particular on what concerns governmental secured communications, space situational awareness, an activity that is already ongoing since a long time, but where the ambitions of the Union are raising, and others. Of course, access to space, always a very important aspect. If you want to do something in space, you need to be able of getting there. And many things related to research and innovation, fostering entrepreneurship, supporting startups that make use of all this data to create solutions for the different fields, and in particular solutions for disaster management. As an agency, we are deeply involved in many of these components of the program. We normally explain that we base our action on three main pillars of activities. One is the service provision and exploitation. This means operating Galileo and EGNOS 24/7 continuously and with the required performance. It includes, of course, not only the operation, but as well everything that is related to the maintenance, the evolution, and the protection of this infrastructure. It includes as well the development of the GovSatcom hub. The second pillar is security. Security, I think it's clear the importance of security. The security of the space assets, so making sure that all our space assets remain secure and protected. But as well, how the space assets, the space data, the space services can help us on security-related missions, with a big role on security accreditation, operational security, and day-to-day operation of security monitoring capabilities. Last but not least, definitely not least, is to make sure that all this data, all these services are used, that they are transformed from signals and files and bytes of data into concrete applications that can be used in the field and in many fields, from agriculture to road transport, from maritime to energy management, and also for disaster management. The utilization pillar is something that we do not only for Galileo and EGNOS, we have been doing that for a while, but now we do as well for what we call the commercial or the business use of Copernicus and for GovSatcom in the future. Whatever we do, obviously, we are a European Union agency, so we are well aligned with the priorities of the Union, and the priorities of the Union are the priorities of its member states, and they are as well the priorities of Greece. Space can contribute in many ways to many priorities. Normally we highlight 4, because that's probably where space can be of biggest relevance. The achievement of the Green Deal. We have heard already the Minister mentioning the challenges we have ahead of us in terms of protection of the environment, but also the challenges that the changing environment is bringing to us. Things like more efficient transport, more efficient agriculture cannot be done without space. The same is true for digital. Everything we do in space is digital, and the transition to the digital age is also a very important priority to which the space program and the space activities contribute. Our stronger Europe, which means our sovereignty, our non-dependence, a very actual topic, as you may well imagine. It is important that the Union remains sovereign in its activities in space. This means being strategically autonomous on the one hand, but obviously also collaborating and cooperating with other countries outside the Union. And I think there, for example, Copernicus is an excellent example of how we collaborate with others. Last but not least, of course, the element of resilience, making Europe more resilient, making our society more resilient, making our economy more resilient. And here the downstream sector will have a fundamental role to play. And we do all these, and I mean, we make normally every second year a big assessment of all the market opportunities that there are, where space can bring an advantage. I invite you to have a look at this document. It's freely available in our internet. It's our market report, where we look at how Galileo, EGNOS, Copernicus, and others can help many sectors, many of the ones that I've mentioned, but as well, there is a dedicated chapter to disaster management. Go back a moment. Now, after a brief introduction, let me just focus one or the other example on what we are doing and what we can do with Greece, how Greece, being a member of the European Union, can benefit from all these programs, all these investments of the Union in space. I bring 2 examples, but of course I will be looking forward to listen from you, the experts on disaster management, also for your thoughts. Where do you think space can help your challenges, your daily challenges, be it in the prevention or be it in the operational management of a disaster that has just occurred? The 2 examples, one is coming from the navigation world, from Galileo. Galileo, among the many things, the many great things that the system does, provides as well an important contribution to search and rescue. Search and rescue as part of the COSPAR-SARSAT international consortium. It's primarily used for search and rescue at sea, and naturally for a nation as Greece, this is a very important aspect, but it is now going beyond that. We are talking as well about search and rescue in remote areas, in mountains. This is basically the beacons. If you have a boat, you know that beacon. There is normally a search and rescue beacon that you activate and sends a signal to space to inform the authorities that an emergency has occurred. Life-saving service. And this signal is often transmitted also by Galileo satellites. Now, Galileo has on top of that a unique feature, which is the capability of providing a return link to the users. Basically, a return message acknowledging the reception of the emergency, basically saying, yes, your request for help has been received. The rescue operations are ongoing, and you can manage your crew, your infrastructure, your resources that you have at that moment, according to the fact that the search and rescue efforts are ongoing. Life-saving, but also very much used. And it's indeed one of those services that save lives every day. Second example, and I'm sure, and I've discussed just before this meeting with some of you, I know that you are using that extensively, is Copernicus. Copernicus is providing imagery from satellites, from in-situ data for many applications. It helps us to understand our planet. It helps us to understand the dramatic changes that our planet is ongoing right now. It helps us in agriculture, it helps us in forestry, it helps us in fisheries, and it helps us in disaster management. It helps us how? First, by providing data that help us on the prevention. It provides data for better assessing potential for fire, for better assessing arrival of a heat wave, sudden heavy rainfall, etc., etc. So prevention, a very important element. And like those of you that are involved then in the operational part, in the civil, in the disaster management operational part, know well. And also Copernicus provides us information about what is happening on the field. And this is fundamental, and this is fundamental for your operations, for your daily life. Before starting the video, let me just mention two other examples, and then I will show you a little video that is focusing on indeed the search and rescue part. One is the so-called E112. E112 is a new regulation, is now being implemented, and I know that Greece is rather well advanced on that. And it is a system, or it is an imposition by law, that all the mobile phones, whenever you call the 112, the mobile phones have to transmit your location data that is calculated using Galileo. As you can imagine, if you have gone through an emergency situation and you need to call 112, you may not be able of precisely identifying where you are. It may be from an accident, you may be at home, but the ability of the mobile phone to provide this data will speed up and is already speeding up the arrival of the rescue capability. The second example I want to mention, this is a little bit older, but still very relevant, which is eCall. eCall is the system that we have in our cars. All new cars homologated since 2018 have this system. If you have a new car, there is a little red button that you will find somewhere. Most of them is actually in the ceiling of the car. When you press that button, there is an automated call that is set to 112. And that automated call not only launches the emergency procedure, but it provides as well your positioning, and your positioning is calculated by Galileo. Again, a life-saving service. So with this, I conclude my little introduction. I'm really looking forward, and we are very much looking forward to listen to your ideas and to your experiences of how space can help you and what we can do to translate the complex space data space services into things that you can use. And I will leave you with a little video. It is a demonstration we have done some time ago on search and rescue at sea. You will see a couple of numbers in that video. Those are all real data. And by the way, without anticipating much, we are looking forward to staging a similar demonstration here in Greece, hopefully before the summer break. We are working tightly with our partners of the Greek authorities to implement that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our first set of speakers for indeed providing us with a policy framework where here in Greece you operate in terms of civil protection as well as the satellite communication infrastructure. Thank you very much to Mr. Da Costa for providing an overview of what Europe is capable of in terms of satellite-based applications. I think that we are running already a little bit late, so I would like to give just 5 minutes coffee break for the people here with us, and we see in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.